Joining me here at the KUVO studios are a few members from Nostal-jazz. We've got David Bernot at the sax, Jonathan Zimny at trombone, Jake Alvarez at guitar, Sonya Walker at piano, and Zack at trombone. Now, y'all just finished playing a set here with some pretty big sound. As a 10-piece band, you debuted your music to the world in July of 2022. But personally, I have to imagine that before y'all held instruments, maybe you were holding gaming controllers or watching your favorite shows together at the edge of your seat, racing, or in an immersing RPG. Tell me how this all started.
Well, so I've been listening. What we do isn't totally original because I've been listening to video game tributes and stuff since I was in high school, middle school and high school. I listened to Retro Remix Review. And like the one-ups had been around for a long time, so there's just a lot of bands that I had already been listening to. So I always thought it was something. It was always something I wanted to do. I was just arranging tunes like throughout college, without really having any idea if they were going to get played or not. But eventually, we actually got our gig before the band actually happened after we booked a gig. So
Nice.
Yeah, that's funny. I can go into detail of that if you want. It's just funny because so my brother was actually getting married in December, or I think New Year's Day. So we were scrambling for a place to have kind of like a bachelor party sort of dinner, and the only place that was open, or one of the few places that was open on New Year's Eve, was Dazzle. So of course, so I submitted an application to reserve a room for Dazzle for this dinner, and then I think a couple days later, Donald, who was the owner at the time, called me and went over the details of the dinner and stuff. And then he kind of went on a tangent about, so what are you working on? And that it threw me because I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting anything about myself, because I guess he had seen my music information in my email header or footer or whatever. And so we started talking about music things, and he was like trying to find some new stuff to bring to Dazzle. And I gave him some other ideas, and he didn't seem too interested. And then I mentioned video games. I had video game arrangements, and he went, that's what we're looking for. So that's pretty much what happened as far as booking the gig. He said, you should play as soon as you can, get a group together. And so I spent the next couple months just scrambling to find people. I went to John first, obviously, and John actually did most of the recruiting. So thanks to John for that.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Well, y'all are like prominent players here in Denver, and I'm sure you guys have a shared love of video games and movies and TV themes. I was listening to your set list, and some of my favorites came up. I'm a big Zelda fan. I love to win a game of Mario Kart,
right.
And all the other. Can you shout out some of those first maybe themes that really spoke to you, or even the same buckets that you keep going back to because they inspire you?
Yeah, I mean, just a heavy love of like the Ocarina of Time soundtrack. A bunch of there was a couple Sonic the Hedgehog things from like the first two, Sega Saturn, Sega Genesis sorts of things. Heavily mixed in with again our love for the Cowboy Bebop soundtrack, the seatbelts, all of that stuff, and then it just kind of grew. Like everyone just kept bringing in all of these different things that they loved, and it was just really cool to see the love for video game music and arranging and playing with all of your friends just all collide all of a sudden. It was really beautiful.
Yeah, I'll kind of add to that. We play a lot of more of the mainstream kind of hits, that video game hits, like the Saria's Song and Mario Kart 64, but we kind of try to do it in a different way. Like Saria's Song is in 7/8 a lot of the time.
Right,
and,
yeah.
Just try to do something interesting with those while also pulling from tunes like we do our last tune, the McDonald's Treasure Land Adventure.
Very obscure stuff.
Stuff that no one's ever played besides
very deep
us.
cut, yes.
And just kind of try to bring that out into the world and show people how cool that stuff is. And for me, I really like the epic stuff. So that's kind of why I did the Halo theme. Just I my whole life, ever since I heard that, I was like, man, this would be really cool with an Afro-Cuban beat underneath.
Boy,
and so I
it.
finally got to do it. So thank you for making this band happen. Yeah, it's great.
There's so much creativity, which I love, and hearing from you guys speak in between, y'all bring charts, you're all part of that creativity. And so when I'm thinking about jazz, of course, TV themes and blockbuster hits are a definite avenue into jazz, but The video game stuff, not so much. You don't hear it as much in mainstream. Looking at your first edition EP, you have the theme from The Odd Couple, which is a standard. But then you have like some sounds that, as a 90s kid, I was just thrown back to my childhood, like the Mario Kart 64 and the aquatic ambience, Donkey Kong, which we heard here today.
Clearly not a fan of Donkey Kong at all.
You know, I really think that music, even though it's so simple and like computer generated, those 8-bit masterpieces, like there's so much there, but then you're pulling it out, you're bringing in acoustic instruments. Maybe it starts with a rewatch or a replay to be like, dang, that would sound amazing. Can you bring us into that process? It allows you to be so playful, it seems like.
Sure. Yeah, you go first, because your chart, I think, is more like further away from the original source material. I think you did more with it than I you go.
Well, yeah, so I
talk.
arranged aquatic ambience from Donkey Kong 64 and or Donkey Kong Country. And yeah, I had played it actually with a small group of mine, kind of a silly little band we called Seahorses Forever. And
Nice.
and you know, we just kind of played it as a lead sheet. And so I was like, well, I've already played this tune before, and we're doing this video game jazz thing. So that was the first chart I had brought into the rehearsals. And yeah, I mean, I just I wanted it to be kind of like spacey modern jazz and have like some kind of like long-winded piano solo, and Sonya does such a great job playing on that. And yeah, so I just kind of ran with that and wanted the wordless vocal and thing just to kind of, I feel like it's so cool that we have so many band members in this group. And so I really try to play as much with all the different instrument combinations that we have. And
Can you shout out the other 5 that aren't sitting with us today, right now?
Yeah, we have Ike Spivak on saxophone and iwi, and we have Seth Merlin on the trumpet, and Tucker Smidt on the bass, and Zack Ritchie on the drums, and then our vocalist Lauryn, Zimny, Romaine. Yeah.
Solid.
Yeah, I know. It's such a heavy, it feels like a super group, honestly.
Yeah, it
like,
does.
in my personal opinion. So
It really does, and y'all work really well together. You can see you're having a lot of fun playing the music. I just want to shout out you guys, because I'm on the show called Influenced here, which is all about the way that jazz blends with other genres and pop culture worlds to bring new and exciting sounds to jazz, but more importantly, some newcomers, people that are maybe like not aware they're listening to jazz. And I'm sure there are a lot of people playing video games that don't necessarily realize those jazz roots. Do you guys find that you have some newcomers when you're out playing, people that are just maybe in love with the scene and then are like, oh, wait a minute, this is like really cool, really jazz oriented?
So actually, one of the last times we played Dazzle, coincidentally, was like at the same time as like a Comic-Con convention that was happening like right next door. So we were just like looking at, or at least I was like looking at the audience, and it was just like, oh wow, you got all these like characters like dressed up in all these like different things. So it's like kind of cool to see people who you wouldn't see at like Dazzle for like a show where you're like swinging, but it's just like, wow, like welcome to this hang, and we're happy to have you here. It's really cool, really positive and uplifting, you know.
That's so heartwarming. And you guys are bringing that energy to Dazzle coming up on May 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw some kind of hats. And is that kind of normal for you to bring the video game onto the stage like that? Or
yeah,
some of those
you know,
pop
we've
culture
never
moments?
we've never really had like a formal discussion on like a look. So I guess we're still trying to figure that out. But yeah, like we just take whatever. I have like plushies and stuff that I bring to the shows, and they hang out with us on stage. So we're trying to add to the ambiance. We actually just started doing visuals as well. We have like a slideshow that my other good friend Kevin Ruby is kind of our tech guy, and did a slideshow at the last show that we could see visuals of all the stuff that we were playing.
You're underselling. It's more than a slideshow. He's got clips and
yeah, it's like
an interactive thing.
Yeah, it's
thank you. Yeah,
it's way cooler than a slideshow.
That sounds awesome. So some of the video games that you see.
Yeah, it kind of adds some context because again, the McDonald's song or game, no one's
I'm
played that.
dying to know
So
what that
we
looks
put
like.
some gameplay up so you can kind of get the vibe as we're playing the song. It's pretty cool.
I mean, the music definitely creates these worlds, so that's got to be a cool element. And you'll play May 3rd. Do you have anything specific set list? Are you still working it out?
We try to get new stuff pretty much every time. We may play some other stuff that we haven't done in a while because we have played quite a bit at Dazzle. Dazzle's kind of our our home away from home for this stuff. We do have maybe some more obscure things, but we also might have some Super Mario 64. We'll go back to the older stuff as well, or the more familiar stuff, I should say. And yeah, I don't want to give too much away, but you gotta come see it. It's an experience, you know. So.
It really is. Thank you so much for joining us here at KUVO and bringing your amazing sound. It was so fun reliving my childhood, and I know that our KUVO listeners are going to be so about it as well.
Yes, thank you, Abby. We really appreciate this opportunity. Thank you.
And again, just so y'all know, this is David Bernot at the sax, Jonathan Zimny trombone, Jake Alvarez guitar, Sonya Walker piano, and Zack Demos on trombone. Thank you guys, Nostal-jazz.